Hey up Leeds. I'm sorry that there's been a little bit of a gap in service, but sometimes needs must. But anyway, I'm back on track now. This episode is in some ways a reboot. I last spoke to Yusef back in May 2020 about his Instagram page and webpage Art by Arjo. It's a really good episode, so do go back and listen to it if you've got the time. But on this episode, he tells me all about Sketch Club Leeds. These are monthly events of sketching. You get to look at amazing architectural places across Leeds and you get access to locations that you normally wouldn't. It was really great to catch up with him. Full disclosure, we did record using video on this episode and it's the first time that I've ever tried that. But I've had lots of things happening in my non-podcasting life, so I just haven't had time to look into how to put them all together. Eventually, I'll be putting these up on YouTube and I'll let you know all the details when I get that sorted. But for now, you'll just have to listen to the audio. Enjoy! So for this episode of the Light on Leeds podcast, I have Yusef Arjo. And Yusef, you are returning.
Yes, hey Hazel, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back a couple of years on now and loads has changed, yeah.
Yeah, so you were on the Coronavirus Extraordinary episodes, number 11. That was in May 2020, and we were just 4 weeks into lockdown. And you were telling me about Art by Arjo, if you want to just remind people a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so I'm an artist and I run a brand called Art by Arjo, mainly through social media and online presence, selling sort of original pieces that I do commissions for people, which are mainly based around architecture, because my background is as an architect, and that's sort of what I studied in and sort of my passions are in. And then also now sort of moving on from where I was in that period, I've sort of grown the sort of the print side of the business and drawing sort of all different locations, landmarks, cityscapes. And that's been sort of my main focus in that area, is just expanding sort of my portfolio of what people request, what people ask for, what sort of is in my interest to draw, and that side of things really. And it's become quite a mainly online business, whereas sort of pre-COVID, I was much more face-to-face, sort of doing pop-up stores, markets, which I still do every now and then, but it's become more of an online business really because of that.
Yeah, I can remember you telling me about how difficult it was sometimes when you were doing markets and things, if it was windy or if it just suddenly started raining, and you'd just begun doing online auctions when we did the last interview, and those were going really well. Is that something that you kept up with?
It's something I did a lot of, sort of online auctions, online markets in lockdown, just because of the fact that everyone was using social media and everyone was online. It sort of had to, sort of as a business, had to kind of like pivot to focusing on where people were. And since lockdown, everyone's kind of gone back to sort of normal habits. Have done less of that sort of stuff, just because the demand for it is not as much anymore. So it has kind of, just as with most businesses, things change all the time, and you've got to kind of adapt to where the demand is. And so I haven't been doing as much as that. I still use the social media to promote new pieces that I'm doing, or do commissions and things like that, where I show processes of work. But it's more use it as a portfolio now than actually doing these live events.
Yeah, not as necessary these days because everyone can get out and about anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's just people's habits have changed and people are much more happy to get back out again, which I totally agree with.
Yeah, it's been great for all of us. Yeah. And so at the time when we last spoke, you had a 15-month-old Albert. So
yes.
So that must be such a big difference to how he is now compared to how when we last spoke.
Yeah. So he's now 3.5.
Wow.
And in the last year, we've also had another little girl called Adeline. And so she's now 9 years old. Yes, I mean, loads going on. It's a madhouse here now with two, yeah. So it's a different ball game.
And how's Albert finding having a little sister?
Most of the time, he's loving it, and he's been very good with it. I think it's just starting because she's just starting to crawl and sort of want to always because she's obsessed with him. She's starting to kind of want to play with his toys and want to bother him, and he started to like, oh, I can't get my own space as much. So I think he's trying to adapt, bless him, but he's struggling with it a little bit, I think, at the minute.
Yeah, it was a big old change for him.
Yeah.
And so you recently, I've noticed that you are doing Sketch Club, which sounds brilliant. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so one of the big things in lockdown and going back to that period that I noticed was that so I'm quite a big user of social media and connecting with people, and especially people who are into the same sort of things as me, just for inspiration or just for just sort of because I work on my own, just really as a way of feeling like you've almost got work buddies again, because
Yeah.
I've gone from a working environment of where you're in an office with 10, 12 people to sat at my home most of the time, all the thoughts in my own head. So that kind of sprung the idea, really, especially two parts to it: being locked away, but knowing loads of artists online and chatting to them, but never actually meeting up. And thinking, once we finally get to this other side of the light and to be able to go back out, is to think of maybe something where we can meet up with like-minded people and sketch stuff so together. And so that was about a year and a half ago. So we were probably still in the lockdown period at that time, and I kind of knew with having the Art by Arjo business, I couldn't really give it all my time. So I was kind of looking to do this with someone, and I knew a friend of mine who I knew quite well, but not as well as I do now. We're now working together, called Clifford Stead, who's another artist in Leeds, historian as well, and works with the Civic Trust. And I threw the idea to him one day when I'd meaning to get in touch with him, but by chance we bumped into each other in Leeds. And I was like, I just threw this idea to him, and I think he just straight away connected with it and thought it was a great idea. And sort of a bit of planning and trying to work out how to get this off the road. We finally last July got our first event, which was at the Leeds Market. And so the basis of the concept is so to get sketchers, artists together who are into sort of urban sketching, who tend to work in their own environment, but to get together and actually work in the place, but also provide them with sort of safe, non-intrusive environment where they're sort of exclusively away from the public and have access to places they wouldn't normally have access. And so we started with the balcony in the market, which is a lovely first venue to start with. And luckily, Leeds Market were really keen on the idea, and we had no proof of concept, and there was no really precedent to how we do it or what to do it, but they just were straight on board, really, really good about it, and yeah, it started from there. I think the first one we probably only had 6-7 people at, and that was tricky to get people to understand what we were wanting to do. But fast forward a year now, we're every event selling out. Wow. So we usually have 20 to 30 people, usually because it's a maximum of you could fit on a roof or the space for fire safety. And yeah, it's been going great. We've now got over a community of just over 200 people on our mailing list who interested to know about the events. We've had, I think I checked this morning, about 105 different people come to the events. And yeah, we've got people coming from different cities. We've had a great sketcher from Manchester come over, Ben. We've had a really, really famous sketcher from London called the Shoreditch Sketcher come from, whose hometown is Leeds, and he fancied coming to one of our events. So yeah, it's been great to connect with these amazing sketchers and artists who I see online, but now we actually know each other and can learn and and inspire each other.
Yeah, of course. And is it generally people who already are brilliant at sketching?
No, that's the thing. We've got all levels really. So because we're not making it like a tutored event where you feel like you're on show and you've got to show what you're doing and it's really obvious, because basically we ask people to bring what other medium you prefer, and bring a sketchbook along. So so they tend to be working quite close to themselves on their own sketchbooks. Some people have brought easels, some people have had even with iPads, and doing digital art, but it tends to be based around bringing a sketchbook. And yeah, we've had all sorts of levels, from people who've just picked it up as a hobby to professional artists or illustrators who do it for a living, and some who just do it generally as a pastime, but are really good as well. But yeah, at all levels, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. We thought it would probably attract the more keen artist who's established and sort of sketching regularly. But we've had lots of people who have just picked up the idea and just got into it, and sort of it's been a big help in what I find, because personally, myself and Clifford as well, we've found it really useful in terms of pushing us with our development of sketching as well, and getting better at just sort of, because I'm quite a stickler for taking hours and hours over drawings, and being exactly got to be precise, and that's just my the way I work. And this has really loosened me up a bit and sort of made me work quicker. So it's kind of like helped us, even though we've set it up as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. And so how do you come up with the ideas of where you want to sketch? Do you and Clifford get together and think about places, or do people suggest locations to you?
A bit of both. I mean, we've got like a big hit list of places and things we'd want to do and views, because basically it's mainly built around a view that we can create for people to urban sketch. And so a lot of these have been, over the summer, especially with the weather, is like finding great viewpoints in Leeds. So a couple we did recently, for example, one was this office block in Leeds called Taylor's Corner, which got an amazing rooftop. And one amazing thing about Leeds is you don't need to be too high to get these great views over the city.
Yeah.
And so we've found so many venues that have just started popping up with rooftops, or sort of apartment blocks that have got terraces that we've been using, and the list has just started growing and growing. And we're just trying to also make sure that each time it's something slightly different of a view, or something slightly different exclusively to sort of give a wow factor to the event. And then through the winter, we've been trying to find like great architectural gems that have got amazing interiors. So we did, we got the Corn Exchange in last November, where they in the evening when it was closed, they let us have, I think we had 30 odd sketchers in there, all sketching inside. And then we've done the two different Leeds libraries, which have got beautiful interiors.
Wow, yeah, I can imagine they would be great to sketch.
So the more you looked into it, we just suddenly realised there's just so many amazing places to where you could do it. The tricky thing was, though, because we're not just going on like a street corner or something like that, is getting the companies or the buildings involved and interested. But it's a win-win really for both people, because we're marketing their venue, we're bringing people to their venue, we're promoting them as well. So, once people have got it, they've really got on board.
Yeah,
We've had some great partnerships.
Oh, brilliant. And do you think you'll spread any further than Leeds? Are you tempted to have you been looking at other cities and places that you'd like to take the Sketch Club?
I mean, yeah, we've definitely got some plans, like sort of future goals and plans to do some away days to other cities. And I mean, one of our ultimate goals is to create a community where, because we've now got sort of, I'd say 10, 15 regulars who come to most, because the events are basically once a month, usually on a Saturday or on a Thursday evening. And we've got, say, 10, 15 regulars who quite often come in now. And so it's just trying to create this community where these regulars are really interested in what we're doing and what we're putting on. And then the end goal is maybe to put on some great couple of day retreat away, like a sketching retreat in I don't know, a cool village in Spain or something like that, where we get to go away and just all sketch all week.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
That'd be the end goal, yeah.
Yeah, sketching holiday.
Yeah, nice sketching holiday, yeah.
Fabulous. And so if people wanted to get involved with Sketch Club, how would they do that?
So we're basically all the marketing and promotion and sort of info about the events started and mainly just is still on Instagram. So the tag is Sketch Club Leeds for anyone who wants to check out our page, and you can see all the different 12 events we've done so far. And then we've got a website where we sell the tickets from, which is sketchclubleeds.com. And then, yeah, they're the two bases. And then you can join our mailing list through the website, and we then kind of update you guys regularly of what's coming up and what's the next sort of event, so that people who are on the mailing list get first dib at getting a ticket.
Yeah.
So they don't miss out.
Well, I'll definitely put lots of links in the podcast notes so people can click through and get involved and see what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Now, I normally ask guests 3 questions, but because you've been a previous guest, you've already answered them. I don't know if you can remember what it was that you said, but I thought it might be interesting to talk about what you originally said and see if anything has changed.
Yeah,
so the first question I always ask is, what do you think is great about the city of Leeds? Do you remember what you said first time round?
I believe I said something about the architecture and the arcades, maybe. Did I say that?
Yeah, it was, arcades. And you also talked about the suburbs and how it's great to be able to sort of go to different places with like different personalities.
Oh, really. Yeah.
Are you sticking by those answers, or have you got anything to add?
Good answers. But I think I've got to add something new, because I was thinking that you might maybe ask this question. And so I was thinking another little gem that I think is great in the city, which you don't see many places, is the water taxi.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been on the water taxi, but I just think it's like sort of quite unique about the city, and it's always got a big queue. But I just think they could do more for it. I feel like there could be more of it. It's so cheap to do. It's like £1 or £1.50 to go across the city on this unique experience. I know, like, we took our kids on it the other week, and they loved it. So I think that's a cool one. Then I've got a plug. I've moved to Carverley recently, and sort of last 6 months. So I've got to plug this area. So I think round here, I love my walks and to explore out and about. And Carverley Woods is a great one for here, and the Carverley Millennium Way, really nice. And another one around here, Sunnybank Mills in Farsley. Another great spot.
I've been there.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's a really great place. There's all sorts of things inside it. There's like an art gallery and cafe.
Yeah, loads of stuff. Yeah, there's a brewery, pizza place, lovely cafes.
Scrap Leeds as well, is there?
Yeah, Scrap Leeds. Yeah, there's loads of stuff. So it's a great little explore as well.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So that's brilliant. And can you remember what you said is not so great about the city?
I think I said about the wind.
Yeah, you did.
And I've moved to an even windier place. Carverley's even windier. I've realised.
That's so funny. You mentioned the wind, and you also said one of the only things, and I totally agree with this one, that we're just not anywhere near a beach. Leeds should just
yeah. Especially today, God, with this heat, it'd be good, wouldn't it?
So are you sticking to those, or you've got anything to add?
They're good. Yeah, I'd stick with them. I'm happy with them. I think another one I'll add, because I think is worth it. Cause I think what Leeds is not. Recently, I've been to Manchester, and it was just. I know I should probably mention that on here, but what they do so well is like connecting the city with the transport links, and I think Leeds is just awful at like. It's so good at like getting people into the city. Okay, so if I want to get a bus, I can get a bus in the city, but if I want to go to Horsforth, I want to go to Morley, or I want to go to other suburbs around, there's just nothing. You can't. I mean, I drive, but if you with this day and age now, and people should be maybe less, is that just connecting of the other suburbs from other suburbs is just awful.
I completely agree, and it's funny that you should have mentioned Sunnybank Mills, because so I'd had Scrap Leeds, and I thought, when the world was opening up, I thought, I've got a massive list now of all the places I can go and visit that I've never heard of, so I'm going to try and do that. So I thought, how will I get to Farsley? So on a map from Beeston, it's not that far at all, but I actually had to get a bus into town, and then searched for quite a long time to find the information of how to get to Farnsley. It was difficult. And then it took me nearly an hour on the bus.
This is it. Yeah, you have to go to town to then go to the place. Whereas, like, it just would be good.
On the way.
Yeah, it'd just be good if they just had. For example, I was speaking to someone who lives here, saying that there used to be a bus from Carveley to Farsley every half an hour, and now there isn't.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just things like that. You know, I just think.
Yeah, and to be honest, because I've now done. I think this will be like the 154th episode or something I've done. Right. And honestly, I mean, I haven't got the time to go back through everyone and check, but I'm pretty sure we're on like 90+%. When I ask the question, what's not so great about Leeds, that isn't always the answer about the lack of connectivity and about the traffic and the public transport problem. So,
well, it's apparently, I learned off Clifford the other day, it's the biggest European city without a metro system.
Yeah.
And, so it's pretty shocking, really.
It really is, yeah. So somebody somewhere listen and do something about it. That would be great. And can you remember what you chose as your hidden gems?
Oh, hidden gems. Did I say? I said somewhere local. I said Meanwood Urban Valley Trail, I think.
You did, and you also mentioned 2 Persian restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully they're still there. So one was called Hafsin and one was called Darvish.
Oh, yeah, great spots, yeah.
Yeah, and are they still there, still going?
I believe they are. I've not been in the last year, though. I haven't. With us having a newborn, we've hardly been out for meals and stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You're making me feel like I need to go tonight, actually.
Good, well, I'm glad that I reminded you. Have you got any that you would like to add?
Hidden gems. Probably what I just discovered recently was when I was in Farsley, this Amity Brewery. It's a great spot with brewing their own beer, with an awesome terrace outside the back in Farsley. So I'd say maybe that.
Oh, that's a good one. I've not heard of them. I'm going to make a little note so I can look them up. That sounds great. And what will you be doing with the rest of your day today?
The rest of the day, I've got some drawing work to do for a house commission I'm working on. So a couple hours of drawing, but probably not too much because it's so hot. It's the worst time to draw when it's hot. And then we're going to probably finish early today, Friday.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, get into the weekend and enjoy this sun, because even though we're so English, you know, I complain when there's no sun, and then the sun comes, and I really complain about when it's there. So the weather can't really win.
In the 20s, it's nice, but this is a bit too much, isn't it?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Unless you're abroad and can have a pool.
Yeah, it's just silly. Well, thank you so very much for coming back and speaking to me again.
Oh, you're welcome.
I wish you the best of luck with Sketch Club, and I'll put lots of links in the podcast notes.
Yeah, so sure. And if anyone is interested, our tickets have just gone on sale for our next event of Sketch Club, which is on Saturday, the 24th of September. And we're in a brand new building that's just been built in Holbeck Urban Village called the Glow Point.
Oh, wow, that sounds really interesting.
And we've got the top 2 floors in there. We've got amazing views over Tower Works and the temple, the towers there, and all the developments that are going on there. So if you want to get involved, that's probably the next one you could check us out on.
Yeah, that would be a great place to sketch as well. They're fantastic buildings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Well, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Nice to see you guys. See ya.
It was great to catch up with Yusef. I'm definitely going to get myself along to a sketch club, and I hope that you do too. As usual, all the details are in the podcast notes. For this episode, I was sent a featured track, and it's called Broken Nation by Tony Peake. It's a great song. The lyrics are extremely prescient. You'll see what I mean when you have a listen to it. But just a little bit of a warning, there's a smattering of swearing towards the end of the song. But I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you all soon. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.
I've been living in a broken nation. I can't pay my electricity bill. Can't afford nothing at the petrol station. I'm looking to the future, but it's all downhill. But when my ship comes in, I will not be overdrawn. I will have no bills to pay and sheets that are not torn. I've been living in a broken nation. I've got penguins in my bath. Can't afford the heating, it's a scary situation. Try to for more money, but the bankers laugh. But when my ship comes in, I will get up off my knees. I'll take a trip to Morrison's and I'll buy just what I please. I've been living in a broken nation, my car does not run on air. All this abject poverty and all this degradation, and all the shareholders who refuse to share. But when my ship comes in, they will all be made to pay. I'll fill their hearts with so much fear, they'll think it's Judgment Day. I've been living in a broken nation, how did we make all this mess? Who's responsible for our castration? Who's gonna stand up and confess? I've been living in a broken nation. Someone got a bonus but it wasn't me. Millionaires, billionaires, strange sensation. I can't afford to boil the kettle for a cup of tea. But when my ship comes in, I will no longer be fine. When I present my debit card, and for once it's not declined. I've been living in a broken nation, my death slowly slaughtered me. Political leadership's a noble occupation, but less unfortunate, just inflicting misery. But when my ship comes in, I will cut my cards in two. I'll turn round to the usurers and say, I'm debt-free, fuck you. I've been living in a broken nation, how did we make all this mess? Who's responsible for our castration? Who's gonna stand up and confess?